Welcome to this edition of Career Pro Tips by Life in the Green Room. Life in the Green Room is all about helping busy professionals who want more out of their career. We provide tool-based, action-oriented plans that empower you to take ownership of your career. My name is Heather Green McLinn, and I am the Vice President at a Fortune 500 company. I believe that with some intentional planning and thought and work, you can start to take action to navigate your career in the direction that you want to go. Career Pro Tips is a series of videos that dive into different topics and how you can apply strategies to help you take ownership of your career. This is episode 4, and in episode 4, we're going to talk all about how do I speak up in a meeting. So how do you speak up in a meeting is really to give people some ideas and strategies when they are struggling with feeling like they are adding the full value they can to their company in the meeting when they're in it. So this could be that you are the subject matter expert and you are really deep, you are the one doing all the work in the weeds, and you're invited to an executive level meeting and you hear them kind of conveying things that don't align with exactly what you think should be based on the details that you know, based on your expertise. This could be that you are an executive and you are invited to a meeting where you're not as familiar with the content of everybody else in there. And you're trying to figure out, how do I add value when I am not as deep on this topic as everyone else? And any other scenario in between those two. It's how to find your voice and add your value in a meeting. I have 5 different strategies that I'm going to cover with you today of things you can think about when you're trying to speak up more in meetings. They are confidence, they are practice interjections, prepare, finding your style, and having a goal. And I think some combination of these 5 will really help you move the needle on this topic. So the first area is confidence, and is really kind of reminding yourself why you were invited to the meeting in the first place. It's because you have some value to add. Maybe it's the deep expertise, or maybe it's, hey, they're looking for a different perspective and some new ideas, and having someone who isn't as deep is just what they're looking for. Either way, if you were invited to the session, there is something that you can add that's going to bring value. So have that confidence as your frame of reference when you're trying to speak up more in meetings. The second thing I want you to do is practice interjection statements. And so this is finding ways that are going to be comfortable for you to get in there, especially if it's a meeting where it's really hard to get a word in edgewise. So practice how you would like to jump in. It could be things like, hey, I want to add on that point, or I want to build on Jane's idea over here, or I'd like us to consider another option. Find a couple of phrases that can just get you in there to start your points that you want to make. The third strategy that I want you to consider is to prepare. So knowing what the topic is about, maybe jot down 1 to 3 points that you think are going to be valuable for you to add at some point in the meeting. So it doesn't have to be a thesis. It can just be a few points that you think could be a different perspective that they could look at, or a deeper way to understand the data, and just have that outlined as you're getting ready for the meeting. The fourth thing I'd like you to think about as a strategy is finding your style. Now, this is not a one-stop shop. This is going to be an evolution for you, but finding your ability to communicate that is effective in getting your voice heard, but also natural alignment with your style is going to be really critical for you over time. So I think it's going to be a combination of what is the style that's natural and most comfortable for you, and what's the style that's effective, and kind of marrying those two and finding something that you can really own. And that will take time, but being mindful of that will help you. The fifth thing I want you to do in preparing for a meeting where you want to speak up more is to set a goal. And the goal can be really simple. It can be just, in the next meeting, I want to speak up 1 time. In tip number 3, we talked about preparing a couple of bullet points of where you'd like to add value. Maybe your goal is, hey, I'm going to make sure at least 1 time I get in there with an interjection statement, I make my point, and I contribute to this meeting. And that can kind of be a building block for you to kind of go up from there. And your next goal is even bigger than that. So these are 5 overall strategies I'd like you to consider if you're trying to figure out how to speak up and participate more in the meeting. They're have confidence in why you were invited to the meeting in the first place, practice your interjection statements, prepare some points you'd like to make, find your style, and to set a goal for the meeting. I'd love to hear if these tips and strategies have helped you stay in the game and participate in a meeting. If you've tried something else that's worked, I'd love to know that too. Leave us a comment below and also include any topics that you could find interesting for us to cover here in Career Pro Tips. If you love getting career advice, please hit the subscribe button. Until the next episode, here's to owning your career journey.